Good day, gentlemen. Today, I invite you to journey back in time with me as we uncover the stories of top 3 most powerful Native American tribes in history. These were not just fierce warriors, they were resilient communities with deep traditions and an unyielding spirit. Let's take a moment to honor their legacy and understand what made them so strong. The Lakota Sioux, the unyielding warriors of the Great Plains. As we begin our journey into the stories of the most powerful Native American tribes, let us first turn our attention to the Lakota Sioux. Among the many tribes that inhabited the vast lands of North America, the Lakota Sioux stand out as a symbol of courage, resilience, and a deep spiritual connection to the Great Plains they called home. The Lakota Sioux were part of the larger Sioux Nation, which is composed of 3 main groups: the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota. The Lakota, often referred to as the Western Sioux, inhabited the western regions of the Great Plains, spanning present-day South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, Montana, and Wyoming. Their territory was rich with buffalo herds, a resource central to their way of life. The buffalo was more than just a source of food, it was the foundation of their culture, economy, and spirituality. Every part of the buffalo was used: the meat for nourishment, the hide for shelter and clothing, the bones for tools, and the spirit of the animal was honored through sacred rituals. This deep respect for nature was at the heart of Lakota life and guided their every action. The Lakota were not only skilled hunters and horsemen but also fierce warriors. They mastered the art of mounted combat, becoming some of the most formidable cavalry fighters in North America. The introduction of the horse in the 17th century transformed their mobility and military tactics, allowing them to cover vast distances quickly, launch surprise attacks, and defend their lands effectively. One of the most well-known episodes showcasing their military prowess was the Battle of the Little Bighorn in 1876. Under the leadership of legendary figures such as Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse, the Lakota Sioux, allied with the Northern Cheyenne and Arapaho, faced off against the U.S. 7th Cavalry led by Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer. This battle is often remembered as a rare and significant victory for Native American forces during the Indian Wars. The Lakota's victory at Little Bighorn was not merely a military success, it was a powerful statement of resistance against encroaching forces that sought to strip them of their lands, their freedom, and their way of life. Their fierce defense was driven by a profound commitment to protect their people and preserve their sacred traditions. But the strength of the Lakota Sioux extended far beyond the battlefield. Their social structure was built on a foundation of communal values and spiritual beliefs. The tribe was organized into bands, each led by respected leaders chosen for their wisdom and courage. Decisions were often made through consensus, reflecting a deep sense of unity and collective responsibility. Spirituality played a central role in Lakota culture. The Sun Dance, one of their most important ceremonies, was a time of renewal, sacrifice, and prayer for the well-being of the tribe. Vision quests, undertaken by young men and women, were journeys of self-discovery and connection with the spiritual world. These rituals strengthened their identity and resilience, especially in times of hardship. The arrival of European settlers and the U.S. government brought immense challenges. Treaties were often broken, lands were taken, and attempts were made to suppress their culture and force assimilation. Despite these hardships, the Lakota Sioux endured. Their spirit was not broken, it was tested and tempered by adversity. In modern times, the Lakota continue to fight for their rights, cultural preservation, and economic development. They have become a symbol of Native American resilience and pride. Their history teaches us that true power lies not just in physical strength or military might, but in the unwavering commitment to one's identity, community, and values. For men of experience and reflection, the story of the Lakota Sioux is a reminder of the timeless virtues of courage, loyalty, and respect for the land. It challenges us to honor the past while striving to build a future grounded in dignity and understanding. As we move forward to explore the next powerful tribe, keep in mind the lessons of the Lakota Sioux, warriors who fought not only with weapons but with spirit, unity, and an unyielding heart. The Iroquois Confederacy, a powerful union of nations. Continuing our journey through the stories of the most powerful Native American tribes, we now turn to the Iroquois Confederacy, also known as the Haudenosaunee or the People of the Longhouse. This remarkable alliance was more than just a coalition of tribes, it was a sophisticated political and social system that stood the test of time, shaping not only the fate of its members but also influencing the course of North American history. The Iroquois Confederacy originally consisted of 5 nations, the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca, later joined by the Tuscarora, forming what is often called the Six Nations. These tribes inhabited the northeastern woodlands, primarily in what is now New York State and parts of Ontario and Quebec in Canada. Their territory was rich in forests, rivers, and fertile land, providing a foundation for their economic and cultural life. Unlike many other tribes organized around singular leadership, the Iroquois developed a system of governance based on consensus and collective decision-making. This was embodied in the Great Law of Peace, a constitution that established rules for cooperation, conflict resolution, and mutual respect among the member nations. The Great Law united these distinct tribes under a single political framework, allowing them to act together with strength and purpose. This alliance gave the Iroquois immense power in both war and peace. Militarily, the Confederacy was formidable. The member tribes could muster warriors from across their combined populations, coordinating strategies and sharing resources. Their knowledge of the dense forests and waterways gave them an advantage over European settlers and rival tribes alike. The Iroquois warriors were skilled in guerrilla tactics, ambushes, and swift raids, making them a persistent and dangerous force in the Northeast. Their campaigns during the Beaver Wars in the 17th century expanded their territory and influence, controlling the fur trade routes critical to the region's economy. But the true strength of the Iroquois lay not only in their battlefield success but also in their diplomatic skill. They were master negotiators, balancing relationships with French, Dutch, and British colonial powers, often playing one against the other to maintain their autonomy and protect their interests. The Confederacy's leaders, known as sachems, were chosen by clan mothers, a unique matrilineal tradition that gave women significant influence over political decisions. This system ensured stability and accountability, as leaders were expected to serve the people's welfare rather than personal ambition. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Iroquois Confederacy was its influence on the development of democratic ideas in the Western world. Scholars and historians widely acknowledge that the principles enshrined in the Great Law of Peace inspired some of the foundational ideas in the United States Constitution. Concepts such as federalism, checks and balances, and representative government find echoes in the Iroquois political system. Despite facing relentless pressure from colonial expansion, forced relocations, and cultural suppression, the Iroquois Confederacy endured. Their unity and adaptability allowed them to preserve their identity and sovereignty well into the modern era. Today, the Haudenosaunee people continue to uphold their traditions, language, and governance structures, serving as a living testament to the power of unity and wise leadership. For those of us who have walked many years and seen the world change, the story of the Iroquois Confederacy offers profound lessons. It teaches that strength comes not only from weapons and warriors but from the bonds that tie communities together, respect, shared purpose, and a system that honors the voice of every member. It reminds us that true power lies in the ability to govern with wisdom, inclusiveness, and fairness. For men of experience, the Iroquois story is a call to value cooperation over conflict, to build bridges rather than walls, and to recognize that leadership grounded in service is the foundation of lasting strength. As we prepare to meet our third tribe, keep in mind the legacy of the Iroquois, a union that endured because it was built on principles far stronger than mere force. The Apache, fierce warriors of the Southwest. As we reach the final chapter of our exploration into the most powerful Native American tribes, we focus on a people whose spirit of resilience, independence, and martial skill remains legendary, the Apache. Unlike large confederacies or empires, the Apache were a collection of culturally related bands who thrived in some of the most unforgiving landscapes of North America. Their story is one of survival, tenacity, and unyielding resistance against overwhelming odds. The Apache traditionally inhabited the vast and rugged territories of the American Southwest, regions that now encompass parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and northern Mexico. This landscape, marked by arid deserts, jagged mountains, and scarce water sources, shaped the Apache way of life in profound ways. To thrive here required unparalleled toughness, adaptability, and an intimate knowledge of the land. Unlike other tribes that settled in fertile valleys or river basins, the Apache adopted a nomadic and semi-nomadic lifestyle. They lived in small, highly mobile groups or bands, which allowed them to move quickly across vast areas, hunt game, gather wild plants, and avoid the harshest conditions. This mobility was also a critical asset in warfare. The Apache became masters of guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks, ambushes, and rapid withdrawals, striking enemies where they least expected and disappearing like ghosts into the terrain. Their military skills were formidable. The Apache were among the first native peoples in the Southwest to adopt horses, which revolutionized their way of life and warfare. Mounted on swift, sure-footed ponies, Apache warriors could cover great distances, raid settlements, or escape pursuit with astonishing speed. Their horsemanship, combined with expert tracking and knowledge of every ridge, canyon, and waterhole, made them nearly invincible on their home ground. Apache warriors were feared not just for their skill but for their fierce courage and discipline. They were trained from youth in hunting, tracking, and combat. Bravery was a core value, and warriors earned status through acts of daring and leadership. However, Apache warfare was also strategic and pragmatic. They understood the value of diplomacy and alliances when it served their interests, yet they never hesitated to defend their freedom with relentless force. Among the many Apache bands, the Chiricahua Apache gained particular renown, largely due to one of their most famous leaders, Geronimo. Geronimo's name is etched into history as a symbol of fierce resistance and indomitable will. For decades, he led his people through countless skirmishes and battles against Mexican and U.S. forces, refusing to surrender despite overwhelming pressure. Geronimo's campaigns showcased the tactical genius and stubborn endurance that defined Apache resistance during the turbulent years of the late 19th century. Leadership in Apache society was different from European-style monarchies or centralized governments. Apache bands were often led by respected chiefs or war leaders whose authority came from their ability to guide and protect the group rather than from inherited rank. Decisions were typically made by consensus or consultation among elders and warriors. This flexible social structure allowed Apache groups to adapt quickly to changing circumstances, whether that meant moving camps, forming temporary alliances, or engaging in battle. The Apache also had a rich spiritual and cultural life deeply connected to the land. Their ceremonies and rituals honored the forces of nature and sought harmony between people and their environment. Stories, songs, and dances passed down through generations reinforced Apache values of bravery, respect, and community cohesion. This cultural foundation gave the Apache strength to endure hardship and maintain identity amid centuries of conflict and displacement. The arrival of European settlers, and later American expansion, brought devastating challenges. The Apache fiercely resisted efforts to confine them to reservations or strip away their land and way of life. Their knowledge of the terrain and guerrilla tactics allowed them to evade capture and continue their fight long after many other tribes had been subdued. This prolonged resistance earned them both fear and respect from military forces and settlers alike. Despite the hardships, the Apache spirit never broke. Today, Apache descendants continue to honor their heritage, preserving language, traditions, and stories that connect them to ancestors who fought and survived against great odds. Their legacy is a testament to resilience, courage, and the unyielding desire for freedom. For men who have lived long lives and witnessed many trials, the Apache story offers powerful lessons. It reminds us that true strength lies not only in numbers or weapons but in the will to endure, the ability to adapt, and the courage to defend what one holds dear. It teaches us that power is as much about spirit and identity as it is about conquest or dominion. The Apache were warriors of the desert and mountains, shaped by their harsh environment into a people who valued freedom above all else. Their story completes our journey through the most powerful Native American tribes, a story of bravery, unity, wisdom, and the timeless human desire to live on one's own terms. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the remarkable stories of the Lakota Sioux, the Iroquois Confederacy, and the Apache, three of the most powerful Native American tribes whose legacies continue to inspire courage, resilience, and wisdom today. These tribes teach us that true strength is not just measured by the might of warriors or the breadth of land, but by the spirit that holds communities together through every challenge. If you appreciate learning about history that goes beyond textbooks, diving deep into the lives, values, and struggles of these incredible peoples, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll stay connected with more stories that honor the rich heritage and enduring spirit of Native American tribes, stories that remind us all of what it means to be brave, united, and true to ourselves. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and keep honoring the legacy of those who came before us.